Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, it is with deep sadness that I rise to adjourn in the memory of David Goldberg, who passed away suddenly this past weekend in Mexico at the very young age of 47. David was a humble titan in the otherwise gaudy world of the Silicon Valley tech industry. He graduated from Harvard University with a dual degree in history as well as government. His accomplishments include stints as a top executive of numerous technology companies, including Yahoo, and more recently the online survey tool SurveyMonkey, which Dave helped turn into a $2 billion enterprise. But for all of his successes, David never lost sight of his roles as a husband, as a father, and as a brother and friend. He cherished his children and family, and he was known by many for his kindness both in and out of the workplace. David was a consummate gentleman and a lifelong feminist, supporting and encouraging his wife to pursue her professional ambitions and make the most of her talents. A dutiful and loving husband, he made sacrifices to accommodate Sheryl Sandberg's meteoric ascent to national prominence as a tech executive in her own right. He led by example in hiring and promoting women to prominent leadership positions in his companies, and in adopting progressive workplace policies that respected the needs of women and mothers. Nearly half of his executive management team at SurveyMonkey are women, a rarity in the male-dominated tech industry. He personally saw to it that his companies set the standard in workplace flexibility, pay, fairness, and gender equality, all while creating invaluable tools and products and generating consistent returns for his investors. He is a glowing example for all of our business leaders, and California is better for it. David Goldberg, who formerly used to live in Los Angeles when he was a music executive, then after his marriage, he relocated. They made a decision to come up to the Bay Area, Menlo Park. He is survived by his wife, many who you all know, as Sheryl Sandberg, and their two children, his brother Robert, his mother Paula, and our prayers are with Sheryl Sandberg, the children, his mother Paula, and the rest of his family at a very, very difficult time. Colleagues, please join me in remembering one of our giants for his humanity, Mr. David Goldberg.
Thank you. Senator Jackson on this item.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I wasn't going to get up and speak, but I think the legacy that this man left is one that should be an inspiration to all of us. We were blessed, or very fortunate, I should say, last year to have his wife, Sheryl Sandberg, come and speak through the Legislative Women's Caucus at an event that many of us here attended, and were so inspired by her efforts and her call to women to lean in, not to step back, not to stay back. And part of the inspiration for her was the fact that she was married to a man who was truly her biggest fan. And I think for many of us here and for the generations to come, it's really important that we look at this extraordinary man who was an enormous success in his own right, and yet his willingness to stand back and let his wife, who was as extraordinary, perhaps even more, shine in the light of her accomplishments so that he was able to bask in her glory as well. And I think for many of us who looked at that partnership, we will not see him anymore through an extraordinary tragedy. But what we can learn from his work and his example is one that I think we could all benefit from, and so that his memory and his ideals and his values as a husband and as a father will not go in vain, so that as we go in the future, we remember his example as an extraordinary example of what life can be when two equal partners go out and conquer the world.